Welcome back to another episode of the Spiritual AI podcast. I'm your host, Leonie Branson, and today I've got a beautiful guest with me over from the United States. I've got Lynn Larson with me. Louise is Lynn, sorry.
It's okay.
Lynn,
I go by Louise too.
Lynn. Well, let's just see how it rolls off the tongue today. Lynn is a master certified hypnotist, creator of the Evolution 10X method, and the host of the Cosmic Valkyrie podcast. She blends brain science, quantum energetics, and ancient wisdom to help high achieving women release inherited survival patterns and step into aligned power without sacrificing income or ambition. Welcome to the podcast, Lynn.
I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm happy to have you here. So we were just saying in the background, who's the audience? Who are we speaking to? And if you're a man, you can definitely get some value from this podcast always. But today's episode will definitely be speaking to women. That's just where Lynn and I kind of resonate. Lynn, let's dive straight in, right? So why don't you share a little bit about who you are, where you come from, how's life created you and kind of put you together to get to this point?
So I come from the corporate America world. So my personal story, when we're talking about my personal evolution and getting to where I am today, I really think that it's like this culmination of everything that we've always experienced in life. And one of the big pivotal moments for me, like I tell everyone, like I popped out onto this earth like a blank slate. I was excited, like I wanted to change the world. I wanted to join the Peace Corps. I always was like, had this deep desire to help others. By the way, I'm an Aquarius and a manifesting generator, 6-3 for any of those listeners that know. So revolution runs through me through and through.
Yeah.
And I do believe that I came to Earth specifically for this moment, the age of Aquarius.
Mm.
But so I've always been like this revolutionary woman that's like pressing boundaries and this rebel. And at the age of 15, much like many women, I was sexually assaulted by an upperclassman and what I thought was a friend. And in that moment, my brain took on a lot of belief systems about myself, about my capabilities, about how the world operates for me.
Mm.
And I want to narrow in on one, which was you can't trust yourself. So I did all the therapy, right? I
Mm.
was in and out of therapy for a very long time. I had challenges with drinking, drugs, emotionally eating, punishing myself with overexercise, all the things, right? But around the age of 32, I would say I really began to have a midlife crisis. And it all came to a head one day when I was standing in my corner office. I worked in San Francisco and I was standing in my office looking out over this beautiful landscape. And I began to realize how much stress, anxiety, and overwhelm were my heart was racing, my thoughts were
Mm.
racing. I was having the same situation that I would always have over and over again and then go back into therapy. And I was standing there thinking to myself, there has to be an easier way. There has to be a permanent way to stop this anxiety and overwhelm. I felt like my world was crashing apart. I didn't know how I managed to get there, right, to that corner office, and I didn't know how I was going to maintain it. So in that moment, I really began to like contemplate how I'd gotten there. And I realized at that moment that I'd climbed the wrong mountain, that I was helping these big, massive corporations make billions. And it wasn't aligned with my purpose and my drive in this moment. And
Yeah.
through my journey, like I was like, okay, I got to dig into me, right? Because up until that point, I was looking at therapy as the tool. Like, oh, yeah, this is going to cure me, right? Like they're going to
Mm.
help me and I'm going to get out of this. But it never worked because I'd always fall back into that cycle. So I love to say that, oh, a snap of a finger and there I was. I was better and I was everything was great and grand. No, it took me like 12 years.
Mm.
Um, but during that time is when I realized that that one story out of many, right? That one story that I couldn't trust myself had gotten me into handing over my personal power to well-meaning caretakers, to school counselors, to therapists, to bosses. And I went up this ladder that took me up to the top of the corporate American culture. And reclaiming my personal power made me realize that what I was truly here to do. I needed all that, right? Like,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, so I dove into all the books, I dove into all the mindset work. I struggled a long time with doing everything that coaches were telling me to do,
Mm.
affirmations, journaling, all that kind of stuff. And it still wasn't working. And that's when I started diving into the brain sciences stuff. And then that's when
Mm.
I dove into becoming a master certified hypnotist. And that's what has led me to where I am today, helping women next level their consciousness, master their inner critic, like really reprogram things so and their internal voice to be a powerful ally. Because what I know is that that loudest voice that we have should not be one that is stopping us from achieving what we want.
Mm. Very true. That is, thank you for sharing. It is, you got a very powerful story, and it is a story I think that what I can resonate with resonates with me, and I know it will resonate with a lot of other women as well. Life throws things at us, but it sets us up for the future, right? It gives us its gifts. I want to just quickly, you said something, and I wanted to just quickly go down that rabbit hole, if you want to call it that. You said that you thought that therapy was going to be the thing, that thing, but it wasn't that. So let's just quickly dive into that. Why wasn't, in your opinion, why isn't therapy the thing that brought you the real transformation, the real growth, the real healing?
So there definitely is a place for therapy. It is a
Yeah, there is.
needed in the healing, right? So I don't want to discount that at all. My journey, I needed more, and I was looking for permanent transformation,
Mm,
not short term, right? So I was looking for real and lasting change and transformation and evolution. And therapy was great because it got me to a point where I was not living in trauma. Honestly, and a lot of women will understand this, it wasn't my last sexual assault in my life, right? So there were other things that compounded, especially when it gets into the drug use and all that stuff. So it got me to a point in my life where I didn't have the emotional attachments to the events in my life. And that was really important because it helped me get to a point where I can talk about these things and I don't break down crying or I don't like experience it as if I'm in that moment. Doesn't mean that I don't get emotional about it, right? I'm human. But
yeah.
but so it got me to a point where I could look at the deeper issues, the deeper
Mm,
things, the deeper evolution because and this is the women that I work with too. They're looking for more depth in their lives, more meaning, more purpose, and and why they're here, right? So it's like it gets you to a point, but I was also using it as a crutch, not a tool.
mm,
So it was something that I was like, yeah, I can fall back into it. And I do understand that there are people that go into therapy long term and use that as a sounding board, which I think is very productive, but it wasn't what I needed.
mm,
I needed to be my own sounding board. I needed to crack open those shadows and really look inside to why I was here and what I needed to do because I was not happy living as a corporate American executive. It was
yeah.
not the lifestyle I came to live. It served its purpose in the moment, but it
Mm,
was the furthest thing from aligned.
mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, does totally. I agree with you. There is absolutely a place and a time for therapy, talk therapy. But the people that I've come across over my years of doing the coaching and working with people, there is, a lot of people get to that point where it's not enough. It's very surface level. And if you're not careful, you can get stuck there repeating the same stuff over and over and over. So you do get to that point where you do want and need something more, and that's when we go into, you know, into the quantum field, into the deeper
And
layers.
I do think that even talk therapy is changing because I work with in my hypnosis practice, I get a lot of my referrals that are patients of psychologists and psychiatrists and therapists and counselors.
Mm,
So they're open to new modalities. Even within their own practice, they're bringing more spiritual practices in. Not
yeah,
so, I hesitate a lot of the time to use the word spiritual because it has
yeah,
become really dogmatic, but
yeah,
more, ancient tools to help people move through stuff. So, and I went to, when I went back to get my master's certification in hypnosis, there were even psychologists there that deal with PTSD and stuff that were excited about using it as a tool. So I do think
yeah,
that that industry is changing, but
yeah,
those type of women that are those type of psychologists had the journey themselves,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So they
absolutely.
understand the importance of it.
Absolutely,
They're not
100%.
Freudian, and that Freud, no one's Freudian anymore, girl.
No,
Down
this
with
is
Freud.
the thing. That's the thing is that it's, like you said, spiritual. We use that word very loosely, but it is just, it's an open mind. It is expanding to different possibilities and layers, and the old psychology and the old talk therapies is a framework. It's very constrictive, and like you said, a lot of people who are in this industry are actually diving deeper now. It's just where the energy is going. It just is. We are transitioning from the old paradigm into a very new paradigm, and a lot of that work is the mind work, right? Diving into the quantum mechanics of the brain. So why don't we go there for a minute? So how does quantum mechanics help explain why our energy and focus shape the reality we experience?
So when I first started this journey, um, what I was struggling with the most was emotional eating. I was
Mm,
like one of those people that was back and forth, hiding it from my husband, back and forth from the kitchen every night, like
mm,
just trying to find that thing to satiate my emotions, right? So
mm,
when I embarked on this journey, I first started with a woman, and I absolutely adore her. That this is years and years ago. She's not even a coach anymore, but she helped women find their dream body with ease. And I was like, that's what I want, right? Like, I want to give up all this struggle.
yeah.
And so she actually, I signed up with her for a year, but within the first 3 months, she was like, you've outgrown me. I'm going to send you in this direction. But she was the one that reintroduced me to my cosmic side because I grew up like around crystals and astrology and tarot, and I was like all into that stuff.
Oh,
But
wow.
I had put it aside one time because it scared one of my boyfriends, and then I forgot about it for
Yeah.
decades. Right. And then I was like, right, I used to do that. So then I started getting into it. So the direction that I first went through all this was very mystical, let's say. Like hiring coaches that talked about energy in more the woo sense and used more spiritual terms.
Mm,
And those of you that know manifesting generators or human design, I have defined head centers. So I'm very grounded. And that's
mm,
one of the things that is beautiful about the women I work with because none of them have defined head centers. They're all open. So they're very ethereal thinking, right?
yeah.
So when I was really diving into it, I was grasping, understanding the concepts, but I didn't know them on a core level.
Mm,
So when I say that, there's a difference between understanding and knowing something, right? When we understand something, we get grasp the concept, but when we know it on a core level, we can demonstrate it in our external circumstances.
Yeah.
So I understood it, but it was so hard for me to like wrap my three-dimensional brain around. Quantum mechanics, the science, helped me take that bridge of the cosmic ethereal concepts and turn them into the reality of what we experience in this physical life. And that was like, that's what I love help explaining to women, because when we can go, oh, science says it, right? Because we're born like science proves stuff. And science is proving what ancient wisdom has known all along.
Yeah.
So being able to take and go, okay, this is what science says.
Mm.
And this is science. Okay. So quantum mechanics says that our subconscious, what we believe on a subconscious level, not our logical brain, not where we think we're operating from, but our subconscious, that those thoughts, those emotions are frequencies. And those are the frequencies that we send out into the universe,
Mm.
5D quantum mechanics, into the 5D. The 5D matches those frequencies and returns them like a boomerang back to us. So
Mm.
if we, like the double slit experiment says, and this was one that was really hard for me to get my brain around, but quantum mechanics says that simply by expecting an outcome, we influence the outcome. So if you
Mm.
believe that it takes hard work to get what you want in life, right? And I got to struggle, I got to put all this effort in, I got to, just work really hard, and then I will finally have what I want, if it's a relationship or if it's weight loss or, health, money, whatever it is. If you believe that it's going to take a lot of hard work to get there, then the universe is going to send you a lot of hard work to get there.
Yeah.
And it's going to make it difficult. It's going to be very hard for you to achieve that in which you desire.
Mm.
When we align our subconscious belief systems about ourself, mainly, we change our belief systems about what we believe to be true about our capabilities and manifesting that in which we desire. And then things, opportunities open with ease. People
Mm.
come into our life, opportunities, experiences come into our life in flow and ease. And we're able to achieve what we desire with aligned action rather than out of that force and resistance.
Yeah. I
How's
think
that?
that it's perfect. I think we, one of the things that people struggle with when it comes to manifesting is that they think that it's an outside force. It's not. It comes from inside. It comes from the inside. And if you look at your life and everything that you have right now, it is because you have constantly been in that create state of creation. So if you don't have the money right now, it is because you have been running an outdated program on autopilot, not realizing that you're doing it. But the minute you start bringing in awareness to those thoughts, you become aware that you are actually running these patterns. So there's this whole process that happens. But yes, it comes from the inside, right?
And I
Yeah.
love talking money. Like, I call this a brain set because it's more than just mindset, but I
Yeah.
love talking about money because I had the harshest money terror. I call them terrors because I was living in such fight or flight that I was releasing dangerous toxins into my body consistently, 24/7, and it
Mm.
landed me in emergency surgery. And that was on this big long journey. And that's when I was like, I got to get rid of these fears or it's literally going to win next time.
Mm.
And so, and I think a lot of money, I do air quote, mindset
Mm.
coaches talk about the belief systems around money, or like how we get money, how money flows in. And it's not that at all. When we really want to dig into the depths of opening up and manifesting more money into our life, or holding on to the money that we have, so to speak, growing that savings account, we really need to address how we feel about ourselves. And but
Yeah.
not get lost in the whole concept of unworthiness, or but more the ancestral patterns, the 3D. I'm talking about our ancestors, our uh mother ancestors here on earth,
Yeah.
what they have passed down to us in belief systems of who we are now, right? They were acting out of survival. Obedience is survival. Servitude is survival, right?
Yeah.
But they've passed all those down through generations, and so many of us still believe, are so caught up in people pleasing and giving, 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 and having a receiving problem. So
Yeah.
when looking at money, it's not about the money stories. It's not like, what people think, like money is the root of all evils. No, those aren't the stories that need to be reprogrammed.
Very,
It's the
very
ones about
seldom
yourself.
it's that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very seldom it's directly connected to the money. It's more connected to, the self-worth
Self-love, right?
and
Yeah.
self-love. Yeah, absolutely. So let's stick with that. Let's stick around, let's keep the conversation around money. And you were saying that, that fear. So how did you overcome your money story? Like what steps? What was a couple of big things that you did that helped you shift out of that frequency?
So that is the evolution 10x method.
Oh, good.
And it's not a magical elixir, right? It's an evolution. So
Yeah.
the first thing is to embrace that, this is not a lateral evolution. Evolution is not lateral. It's not
Mhm.
one direction, right? It's continually moving and evolving and shifting. And no matter how much money you have in your account, you're going to be triggered. And then you're going to go deeper and be like, I'm safe, what all that. Um, so within the method, it really does take a basic understanding about how your physical brain works, how the subconscious works, right?
Mm.
And then you have to have that beautiful ancient wisdom. Like, how does that correspond with the mechanics of the 3D? We have to understand how our world works, how our physical brain works within that world. And then we need to understand what aligned action is and how to apply that aligned action to take us in the direction that we desire.
Mm.
And one of the biggest hurdles, I would say, for me is because that word alignment um, is thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what you mean, right? Like, what does alignment mean? So let's clarify that.
Yeah.
Alignment really is based on your core level values. And I'm not talking about the values that have been handed down to you from generations of women or societies, misogynistic societies telling you what you should value. I'm talking about your core values. When we're operating from those values, it's easy to see what actions we need to take because we have clarity, we have confidence, we know that we're working towards that in which we desire, but
Mm.
also to know that there is no one way to do things. And just because it doesn't work out the way that we want it to immediately doesn't mean that it's not working,
Mm.
right? I always say, first, I hate that saying when people all over TikTok and stuff are saying, everything is always working out for me, because it makes me cringe, because it gives this false sense of this impression that, oh, everything's always going to be puppies and rainbows for me. And that's not how
Mm.
life works. It doesn't work like
No.
that. So I always tell people it's not that. It's not everything's always working out for me. It's that everything is always working out for my higher evolution. Without the
Mm.
challenges, without the setback, so to speak, we do not have the opportunity to evolve and grow deeper and take that knowledge and knowing and wisdom further.
Mm.
So, while there is a method, it's inside E10X and it takes 10 weeks to get there. And it's dense and it's chewy, but those are the pillars: aligned
Yeah.
action, quantum mechanics and the brain, and then ancient wisdom.
Yeah. it's it's so easy to like whenever whenever I see these reels on, all the social media platforms, goes, these are the steps to manifest. They A lot of them give these very superficial steps. And for myself, I did research last year. I was running a program and I looked at six or seven of the most let's just say most famous leaders out there who teach manifesting. And from from what I teach awareness and intuition as foundations, because you cannot go through anything else if you don't have awareness. Like, that's a number one thing. But nobody spoke about awareness or even intuition as part of manifesting. And so yeah,
That's like 101.
that I thank you so much. Now,
Yeah.
I think in the last couple of months, I've seen two people who who actually has started working it into their content, and I was blown away. I was so grateful to find them. But majority of people out there don't speak into awareness and intuition as actual steps in manifesting. So you've got all these superficial steps out there. So, you know, you've just said it. Awareness is like the most important step, essentially. What is something else that you find that people are not talking about when it comes to manifesting?
So I haven't spent a lot of time watching other people manifesting coaches. There
Yeah.
is one that I absolutely think she's charming in the United States that has a lot of followers and makes millions. But I'm going to be straight up. I think there's a lot of crap mindset coaches out there that are just really good at marketing.
Yeah.
And so I see a lot of, in the United States, I see a lot of millionaire money mindset coaches that just have a really good marketing team. I had signed up with a couple of them to check out their high ticket offers years ago and got into the program and uh, were disappointed in both of them. They were like 24K programs, those big ones. And
Wow.
basically, all they were talking about was the woo stuff. I think the missing piece is really people don't talk enough about you have once you have the awareness, that is like the foundation. Like you have to understand, you have to be able to hear what that subconscious is telling you. But people aren't telling people how to reprogram it. They'll talk about it. And the way to
Yeah.
reprogram it is the method, right? Like you
Yeah.
can have all the awareness. You can, but if you can't journal your way to changing your neural pathways, right? Like you can't meditate neural pathways into a new state, right? So I think a lot of people are getting caught up in the woo factor and not
Yeah.
bringing it into the practical presence. Like, okay, now that you have the awareness, how do you change that? Like,
Mm.
how do you master those thoughts?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get stuck in the doing behaviors. Oh, I'm going to meditate. Oh, I'm going to journal. I'm going to go sit under a tree. I'm going to get grounded. And it's like, yes, all those things are great practices, but there is no amount of citrine on this planet that is going to bring money into your life until you first have the internal frequency of abundance and wealth. And that
Yeah.
comes from the subconscious, right? So
Yeah.
I have seen in my past and probably still prevalent out there, all these money coaches talking about the external things, still handing over your power to things that are
Yeah.
outside of you
Yeah.
instead of addressing the real issue, which is what's happening on the inside.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. I use this analogy in my book where I say that the coaches are giving you bricks and tiles and roof caps and stuff like that to build the house, but none of them has actually helped you clear the foundation so that you can actually build on it. So
And they're
it's,
charging you out the yin yang for their
yeah,
programs.
yeah,
I think that we are going to start seeing in this age of Aquarius, we're going to start seeing the decline of a lot of those corrupt high ticket coaches.
yeah, people are starting to see through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are seeing through it. So yeah, you know what? We can take this conversation. Like I haven't even got, not even two,
Let's
three.
keep going. I'm
Well,
fine.
well, but you've got
I'm
an
watching
appointment.
the clock. I'm
You're
watching the
watching the
clock.
clock. But okay, so let's go down one more rabbit hole before we have to say goodbye because I'm mindful of the time. So, um, what practical steps can listeners take to align their energy with the outcomes that they want to create in this world?
Mm. My favorite value, one of my top highest values, frequency, energy.
Mm,
So the beauty about hypnosis is that it is an immediate transformational tool.
yeah.
So when you experience hypnosis from a trusted practitioner, don't just go out and download something off of YouTube. Never do that. Okay. Never ever do that. That's just you don't want somebody messing with your subconscious that doesn't know what they're doing. But when you have a trusted practitioner, then the beautiful thing is you have neural pathways that are like raring to go. They're like a freeway. And then all you have to do is um, reinforce those patterns. But I guess if like I am not your entry level manifestation coach. I am more for somebody who's laid the foundation, that has all the concepts, but is having a challenge in putting the pieces together and how they fit.
Mm,
So, the biggest hurdle I see women having when they come into working with me or in any of my programs is they lack vision. They
mm,
lack a clear vision of what they want. And they say things like, I want more. I want more money. I want better health. I want better relationships. But they don't have a clear vision of what that is.
yeah.
Our vision is where we work from. It's what helps us make the decisions and what we want. You got to be crystal clear on that vision. You got to know if you want more money, how much more money? And
Mm,
what is that going to change for you? It's not like, I want more money, I want to have my bills paid off, and I want financial freedom. That is wishy washy. And when you have a wishy washy vision, the universe sends a wishy washy back to you because it doesn't know what you want. Oh, I'll just give her more of the same. Right.
mm,
So I always highly suggest the very first thing to do is get clear on what you want. Know
yeah.
exactly what it is. And this is in all areas. So, an example, I was involved in a really serious car wreck back in August 2020. And I mean, it was bad. And then I had to learn how to walk again and all this stuff. And it was
Oh,
surgeries.
wow.
And I'm just now getting to the point where I've been released and I'm running again because I'm a marathoner. And it's like 5 years
Oh,
later, but I'm to this point, right? But from the moment I was able to wake up and be conscious and know the situation that I was in, I knew I want to be able to run at least a half marathon someday.
mm,
Now, knowing that that was my goal, right? Without an attachment to the outcome, meaning I really want to, but you know what? If I never do, then I'll find something else that brings me joy.
mm,
But keeping my eye on the prize gave me the exact steps in every moment. Okay, then you got to do everything the surgeons tell you. You got to do everything. Drink the teas. My husband's he knows herbal medicine, and he drink the teas he gives you. Eat take the protein, the amino acids. Do everything that you know, and do everything that the doctor tells you, so that you'll be able to stand up and walk again first, because that's the first step. Right. And then after that, what do you need to do? What's your next milestone? What's the next milestone? I still, 5 years later, am not running a half marathon, but maybe by the end of 2026, I might be at the point where I can. But right now, I'm in the process of learning to run again.
Mm,
And that's just joyous. And if I never get to, a half marathon, so be it. But at least I'm enjoying the process and I know what my prize is, right?
yeah.
If I didn't know that, I wouldn't know what steps to take, what that looks like physically for my body, how
Mm,
to address issues that might come up, my perception of the many times that I started before as failures, I would have been like, oh, I should just give up then, right?
mm.
We need to know what it is we want.
Yeah.
If it's, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to just put this in there because it comes kind of back to what where we kind of started is once you have that clarity, that is then when you can take the aligned action to get you to that place. And your aligned action is eating the right food, drinking the teas, doing the exercises, getting out there and running, moving your body, building strength and all that. That's aligned action to get you to the place where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. And it's in any aspect of your life, right? So I know there's a lot of women out there that love the idea of starting businesses
Mm,
and having that success. And in the coaching industry in the United States, 80% of all coaches make under $10,000 a year. Okay, so that's a reality. But that's not because of their it's not because they're not working enough. Not that it's because they're not taking aligned action,
mm,
right? It's because they're working out of fear and struggle and they're thinking like if I just clock in for 8 hours and I do 8 hours of stuff, then I'll make money, right? But they're not learning the right things because they don't have a clear vision of what their end business looks like. The
mm,
moment I built my practice, I knew what the finished product looked like. So I'd know when it was done and I could
mm,
start working on my next business, right?
mm,
Without that, you're just throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping something sticks.
yeah,
And you can't hope, wish, and pray your future into existence.
very
It
true.
takes action.
Does. It takes clarity and
You have
action.
to know.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. And I think it's because women have been, we have been so suppressed for 3,500 years,
Yeah.
right? And we have been told that our dream doesn't matter and our dream is to stay home and have kids and take care of the family and blah, 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 blah. And that's what it should be.
Mm,
But I think, and it's obvious in today's culture that that's not what most women want.
no.
They want independence. They want
Mm,
um, internal and external freedom. They want safety. They want love,
mm,
but not in the traditional sense that misogyny has told us.
yeah. And how
My,
amazing is it to
what were you going to
be,
say?
sorry, how amazing is it to be part of this change, part of this evolution for the female energy, for the, yeah, yeah, I
It's
feel it's
exciting and
exciting.
and scary. I don't know if you keep up with what's going on in the United States, but it's extremely frightening here right now. And we are in the throes of a revolution.
Yeah.
And of course, it doesn't look the same as it has before because of social media, but it's escalating every day.
Yeah.
And it's escalating in the court systems with the removal of women's rights and body autonomy and, our other marginalized communities. And I'm really into astrology and I've been waiting for the age of Aquarius all my life.
Mhm.
And it's going to get harder, y'all. It's going to get harder before it gets easier.
Yeah.
But hard doesn't mean bad.
No,
So
no.
it's just like finding those communities. Like my whole purpose in this life is to gather women together and help them excel and ascend to new levels of consciousness to create more wealth in their life because I know the key to self-love is addressing all those stories. So I speak to the money. But when you
Mm,
start working with me, it's all about you and your personal power and your luminous power. But when
yeah,
we change that frequency on the inside, it radiates out. And I'm here to make a typhoon of transformation across the globe so that women can
yeah,
take back the throne that we were written off of 3,500 years ago by men. Not to dethrone anybody, but to restore balance.
yeah.
And it is the
It's not
time.
about overthrowing and
Mm-hmm.
removing the masculine. It is about bringing back the balance. And I
Mm-hmm.
think us as female, as women, we understand that it's not about taking away the power of the masculine. It is about bringing back the balance. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why we're here. And I think we're in a very beautiful and fortunate place that we can be in this position so that we can actually help women step into this.
Right.
Yeah, it's truly exciting. Lynn, I am again mindful of the time. We've kind of got to the end of it. We'll definitely do this again. I think we've got a lot more that we can speak into. I really love this conversation.
I would love to have another conversation because one of the things that's been coming into my realm a lot over here in the United States, and I'm always one of those people, and why I was so interested in listening to your podcast and coming on is because of the name of it, Spiritual AI.
Mm,
Over here, I've been hearing all these conversations about how people are taking and using AI as a tool for spirituality, but it's also creating a lot of mental health challenges.
yeah.
Have you been hearing about this?
Um, I I know that there's definitely going to be a lot of this coming up. I speak into like spiritual AI, which is the authentic intelligence, which is
Yeah.
awareness and intuition, is that inner intelligence, and I understand how the artificial intelligence it will cause problems. Exactly what you're saying. It will
Yeah.
override certain spiritual
In
senses.
the United States, it has been causing extreme mental health challenges because it's free and it mimics what they like. There's a lot of, it's coming out a lot, and people are talking about it because of, we can save the conversation for another day, but because people are, you feed AI, artificial intelligence, your personality, so it speaks your language and then it reverberates it back to you. And it's causing like distortion of self and
Yeah,
lots of challenges.
because it's not you can't if you because you're training the AI, right? You like you said, you're
Yeah,
feeding it information, and then what comes back at you, even though it's speaking to you as if you even if you say you are the coach, give me this advice, it is going to just reverberate back into your
it's a
reality
very culty.
exactly. Yeah, it's a problem for sure.
And we are in the age of technology, so really beginning to speak about these things in a way to be able to use these tools for professional development, but not really for personal
Mm,
development. I do not, I use AI every day for my business, but I do not think it is a tool to use when it comes to personal development,
yeah,
spiritual guidance,
yeah,
anything like that.
yeah, yeah. That's
And I
there's a
think it's getting bad
yeah,
in
that's
the United
definitely a
States.
conversation we can have.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we'll definitely we'll set it up for a future date. Lynn, thank you so much. Before we hop off, can you please quickly tell the audience where they can reach you? I will have all of this in the show notes for them, but please tell them how they can work with you and where they can reach you.
Sure. You can just go to Lynn Larson, which is LYNNLARSON.com. And my information's there. There's a free 11-minute training on financial freedom from a brain set perspective. Just 11 minutes, has a workbook, but that's where I would say start
Mm.
with to get a taste of how I operate.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really love this conversation. Thank you guys for listening, and keep listening because we'll have a lot more interesting guests that will come onto the podcast and come and share their wisdom and their journeys with us. So until next time, see you guys. Bye.